Not Quite Cool is a podcast that contains spoilers, opinions, and general nonsense. Listener discretion is advised.
Podcast.
Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
I hope you guys were the good stuff. Is that going to be out of context? That's not going to work.
Probably. But speaking out of context, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our hit podcast that we do while Rob and I are unemployed, which is quite often. This is Not Quite Cool. My name is Keith Brooks, and here with me, as always, is Mr. Chad Dowdy. How are you doing, Chad?
Doing good, Keith. And, before we get started, I wanted to say, I texted Rob earlier, wanted to know if we were going to still on for tonight. And Rob said, Keith isn't feeling well. We'll see. And I'm thinking Rob just makes shit up sometimes. But now
Sometimes.
I'm seeing you. And I'm like, yeah, you look like shit. So maybe, are you feeling horrible?
I do. I mean, I feel like shit. I feel as bad as Rob looks. So
And I just showered. So just imagine how I looked 20 minutes ago.
Oh my God. You look like a young Walter Matthau character from Bad News Bears or something.
Bad News Bears. I was going to say that when you said Walter Matthau. Totally.
That would be amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as you guys can hear,
That'd be great.
Rob's dad pays us $50 a week to hang out with him. So here's Rob Praga. How you doing, Rob?
It gives me a cut of it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
He's our only Patreon.
But yeah, this is Not Quite Cool. If you're listening where podcasts are available, or if you're watching on YouTube, all of the different chapters are demarcated at the bottom. We've been doing that for a year, and this is the first time I mentioned it, though Chad reminds me constantly. But we're going to dive into a lot of
this moment is where I learned of it. So thank you.
I was going to say, Rob has no idea.
Literally, you demarcate the chapters? That's amazing.
Yeah, I do all that stuff.
I got to put these headphones in, or Chad will scold me for bad sound. Hold on.
We got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about, and I'm sure Chad's going to have plenty of opportunities to scold Rob. We're going to talk about movies. We got 2 trailers, and then we're going to do our top 5 films of the year. So it's going to be a killer episode. I hope you're excited, Rob's dad, our only listener. Let's go ahead and dive in to something that we watched last year. It was creepy. It was kooky. It was altogether a little spooky. That was obviously Wednesday. Now, this was an 8-episode Netflix series. I've seen 6 of the episodes. I think Chad and Rob have seen all of them. Chad, what did you think about Wednesday?
So, I like to think I'm an early adopter of Jenna Ortega because I've been a fan almost from day one with her. She does not disappoint. It's a star-making role for her. I love this series, love the show, love the mystery, the tone. I love the characters. Her roommate, Enid, is awesome. I feel like Rob might not like her too much. She's a little bit too kiddie, but I love her roommate. I love everything about this show. I'm a big fan. And I can't wait for season 2, whether that's on Netflix or maybe Amazon Prime or who knows. But I thought it was a really, really cool mystery. And again, we're not going to spoil it because, again, you haven't finished it, Keith. But yeah, excellent show.
Yeah, Rob, what do you think about it?
I loved it. I thought it was great. And yeah, Chad, I loved the roommate. Okay. She was funny and quirky and cool. So you don't know me. You don't know me.
It's hard not to like her.
But I'll say this. At first, I was like, oh, she's going to get on my nerves. My first impression was, oh boy. She's going to, it's going to be, but you know what? She won me over. And quickly too. She was so endearing and, she was so committed and so nice to Wednesday, unwavering, that I was like, you win. You literally killed her with kindness. And I
much like Wednesday was won over by her. You were won over by her.
Absolutely.
You had the same arc.
Yep.
Amazing. Absolutely. I thought, to me, I enjoyed when they did Sabrina on Netflix. I really thought, I was like, this is pretty cool. It's edgy. It's darker. It's a cool take on the character. I watched the first couple of seasons and it kind of wore off on me a little bit. This just felt like they took what they learned from that, gave it a bigger budget, brought in even stronger filmmakers, and I was surprised. I thought I was going to hate it. I was going to watch one episode just so it wasn't in the dark when we were talking about it. And I loved it. I thought it was great. She's awesome. I can't wait for the next season.
I think she's incredible. I think there's many parts of this show that work amazingly, but if you didn't have her as the anchor, I don't think anything would fire off as great as it does.
Yeah.
She is so charismatic, doing so little that she's just a phenom to watch. I think she just got nominated for a Golden Globe, which rightfully so. The other thing that I like about it a lot is it feels like, and it's produced by the same people, but the evolution of where Smallville started taking us with these stories that we already know, these well-embraced mythos. Now we're serializing them in a different context, right? Whether it's Riverdale, whether it's Sabrina, whether it's Arrow, whether it's this, it's a great exploration of those characters, and you're allowed to do it because you're already vaguely familiar with who these characters are, right? When Uncle Fester shows up, it's a cool little Easter egg for me. It's because I already know him. I know this character. I know some of the traits that I'm going to find in him. And I love that, playing around with it. Also, I fucking adore all of the Tim Burton Easter eggs that are hidden throughout it. In the first episode, there's a Beetlejuice doll. In the competition they do, she's dressed like Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. You have a Jack Nicholson Joker. All of these great little homages to Tim Burton's own work. I adore it. I can't wait to finish it. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think they did a really good balance too. As the world changes, and as the superhero movies got darker and a more grounded tone, a lot of these shows, obviously Sabrina got darker and a more grounded tone. A lot of the shows on TV that you just mentioned, and this clearly got darker. Grounded. They leaned into a lot more graphic violence and anyway. What I did think they did nicely was they still kept the cute romance between the parents. If you watch the Addams Family back in the day, Morticia, you spoke French, and their childhood romance, the parents never lost that, and it didn't get silly here. It was fun and it was endearing, so you didn't lose that, and you still balanced it out with I think you're the one who said to me, it's kind of like Wednesday Addams meets Hogwarts. There are so many interesting ways to take all these characters now, because some of these IPs are so popular that you can literally just cross-pollinate so many different things. And it seems like, Netflix and places like this are going to have, they're going to have fodder for material for a long time to come.
But it's also interesting to me that I think, yes, the show deals with dark subject matter, but I feel it does it in a very tongue-in-cheek, cartoonish way. It reminds me, I think it's shot like the Bates Motel show from A&E, but I think as far as the subject matter, it treats it almost the way that Tim Burton's produced Beetlejuice cartoon did. When I was a kid and when Chad was a kid, there was a Beetlejuice cartoon. Rob, when you were a kid, they didn't have cartoons yet. They had just invented drawing. But
they had cars and there were some tunes, but they didn't put them together yet. So just so you know.
But
they hadn't merged them yet.
Beetlejuice was an animated series that, like, really, as a kid, I was watching stuff about the devil and the Grim Reaper taking a holiday, but it was all done with this sense of whimsy. And I find that here, the Hyde monster doesn't look scary. It looks like a cartoon character come to life. And because we're playing it through that lens, it's all sort of more acceptable. You know what I mean? It's all more fun. But I love anything that's about the spooky season. And speaking of spooky seasons, Adult Swim just took a very familial season and found a way to make it perhaps terrifying, perhaps horrific. And of course, I'm talking about Adult Swim's Yule log, also known as The Fireplace, which I know Chad and I saw. I don't think Rob viewed this one because
I never even heard of it.
Oh, there you go.
Well, cool.
Other than the 18 texts about it, but that's cool.
It's fine. And
I have a rotary phone. Sorry.
And literally the interview that I did that you said you watched a little bit of, but whatever.
I said I watched the first 3 minutes. I was a little mad that the lighting for hers was better than you use here. and I gave it a thumbs up. So you're welcome.
I appreciate that. So if you're unfamiliar with this, like Rob Prago, on HBO Max, they announced that Adult Swim would be putting up a Yule log video at midnight a couple of days before Christmas. And it starts off as a Yule log video where you're just seeing a piece of wood burn in a fireplace. But then come to find out, it's actually an entire film built around that Yule log. Chad, what did you think about this fucking insane movie directed by Chris Casper Kelly?
It was insane. It was great. Everybody was great except for that lead actress. I'm just kidding.
Who was it? Who was the lead?
Andrea
It's
Lane.
the interview that you watched.
Oh, I didn't see the Yule log movie. Okay. I didn't know she was the queen. Did she play the Yule log? What the fuck was? What do I know?
Kind of. Go ahead.
Who knows? Weird stuff happened in that movie, but she was great. Obviously, I'm joking because you interviewed her, but I did not know.
Congrats to you, Andrea, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect other than it's Adult Swim and it's a Yule log, and I saw some people say, "Check this out." Going blind, don't know anything about it, and I love the concept. I love how it starts off with, like you're saying, with that. And then at some point, the camera backs up a little bit because the guy makes it back up. Mm-hmm. And then at some point it actually changes to a regular, shot movie. But it was a lot of fun. They threw, I feel like, everything at
everything.
It was like the kitchen sink, everything. You got home invasion, aliens, cursed logs, cults.
Yeah.
And who the fuck knows what that dude in the fireplace was?
And the cult thing is just an afterthought. Like, we barely see that cult thing for 2 seconds. And then the time traveler, oh my God, go ahead. Yeah.
It's just like everything. So I am, this is the guy that I'm sure but this is the guy, Rob, that did Too Many Cooks. Do you remember that?
I was going to say, when you said through everything in the kitchen sink, I was thinking, is this the Too Many Cooks in the kitchen thing? Okay, guys.
And they actually cut to William Tokarski from Too Many Cooks, and he's supposed to be the same character when they're
that's funny.
Inside the fireplace. I can't even explain that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super weird, the whole thing. Again, enjoyable. I'd heard that maybe this might be an annual thing with Adult Swim, awesome. Where it's a different type of Yule log every Christmas. So I enjoyed this entry, looking forward to it. But like you said, batshit insane.
Batshit insane. I worked with Casper on his TV show, Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell. He's the creator of that. And he's just a great guy. And he's super clever. I mean, he's worked for Cartoon Network for a long time. He did the Scooby-Doo Witch Project back when the Blair Witch came out and stuff like that. So he's always had one foot in the silly world and one foot in the crazy, scary world. And this felt like a culmination of everything he's ever worked on, just because all the fucking plot lines are going crazy in it. It feels like the Phantasm movies at a certain point. I mean, it's just pure insanity, but what a fun, lovely watch that sort of caught the internet by surprise. It was insane to Andrea is a good friend of mine. If you go to the Bean Dip Productions YouTube page, which is also where you can find the video for this, you'll see an interview I did with her called for a show called Your Guest is as Good as Mine. But Andrea's a really great friend of mine, and it was crazy the day after that posted to see all these articles talking about her and Florence Pugh and Brendan Fraser are the stars of the year. Like, that was sort of insane, especially out of this like locally produced horror film, but it's not really a horror film, but it's also super clever at times.
And you got to look for it too.
Yeah.
It's not just like, hey, it's out there.
Yeah.
You're not going to look through and be like, oh, let's check out this Yule log.
Yeah, it's disguised as a Yule log, and it does serve as one, and that's a point of the story. The arson line, I loved the evolution of that. It's just a weird fucking bonkers ass movie.
Before we move on, you said something that I clearly missed whenever the hell it was out, and I would have watched it immediately. I don't know, this was a long time ago. You said they did a Scooby-Doo Blair Witch kind of spoof.
Yeah, in the 90s. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know it was a long time ago. So I never even heard of that.
Yeah.
Where I want to watch that. Let's watch it right now. Let's cut.
I think it's probably
when we're back. That was awesome, wasn't it, Rob?
Unbelievable.
That was a great
wow.
I would say shit.
I would say it's probably on HBO Max, but who knows what the fuck's on HBO Max other than the movie we just talked about. But if you can find Scooby-Doo on there, I suggest you binge it, which takes us to our next film, one that Chad watched, The Binge 2. I didn't even know there was a Binge 1. What the fuck is The Binge 2?
So I told Rob about the Binge 1. The Binge 1 came out.
Binge 1 I love. Binge 1 was funny. Yeah, it was good.
It's basically the premises. It's like The Purge.
Okay.
But the Binge is all drugs and alcohol are illegal except for one day a year.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the first one is like a high school comedy, and they're trying to get drunk and take drugs for the first time because they can, and it's all about the binge. I think Vince Vaughn is in it.
Yep,
it's very good. The Binge 2 is called it's a wonderful binge. So this one's set at Christmas time. So the binge falls on Christmas Eve this time. So I'd read a little bit about this before I watched it, and what they had said was, if I'm not mistaken, was I guess the company, it might be Hulu, said, "Hey, we want you to do a Binge 2, but can you set it during Christmas?" So they had to make it around Christmas. So to me, this is a lot more of a Christmas movie than a binge movie.
Gotcha.
It would be like if the Purge is going on at Christmas, and every once in a while they look outside and be like, "Man, there's some crazy people getting killed out there." It's not a lot to do with the binge, other than some characters come back. It's a fun Christmas movie. But I was telling Rob about this. This is the deal. Patty Guggenheim, Madison from She-Hulk, is in this. Steals the show.
Awesome.
As one would expect, quite frankly. But she plays a stoner. So, and Keith, I know that you know the difference between a stoner and a drunk, and she plays the stoner so different than Madison in She-Hulk and nails it. She is so good in this movie. She's not in like a lot of the movie, but it's almost worth to watch the movie just for her scenes because she's so good. And like her acting partner in her scenes, another stoner, like they're great in this movie. So it's, again, not as good as the original Binge because, again, it's not even the same premise as the original Binge. It's a Christmas movie that they have shoehorned the binge aspect into it, but still worth checking out.
Oh, I'll totally check that out. I wish that this was a video show so people could see that during Chad's explanation of that at one key point where he was talking about the difference between stoners and drunks, he definitely looked at myself and Rob for, each for different points. But since that's a holiday movie, staying with that spirit, let me go to a holiday movie that I watched that was quite spirited. And that is Spirited, starring Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. This is an Apple Plus. I always want to say Apple TV, but I think it's Apple Plus, right? Whatever the fuck it's on. Macintosh owns it, right? And so this is a musical that has a twist on the Ebenezer Scrooge Christmas Carol story. And it's just super enjoyable. I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I do. But it's a lot of fun, some great musical numbers. There's one musical number that's basically fuck off, but it's good afternoon per the time of Ebenezer Scrooge. That was the equivalent, they say, which has been shortlisted for, best song of the year and all that stuff for the Golden Globes and Academy Awards. Super enjoyable. Will Ferrell even gets to make fun of himself and Elf throughout the movie. So that's awesome. So if you're a fan of that movie, if you're a fan of these two actors, they're just having a blast, and it shows the entire time. But talking about a blast, I want to hear about Christmas, Bloody Christmas. We're going to stick in the holiday season for a while. But Chad watched this movie, Christmas, Bloody Christmas. I want to hear all about it. Tell me about it, Chad.
So it's a Shudder original and independent film. The gist of it is there is a Santa Claus robot at a toy store that they got, from the military, and dressed it up like Santa Claus. And then the program went haywire and it started killing people, So yeah, it sounds dumb. It is dumb, but it's still fun. It honestly, it's very much like the Terminator, and the fact that this robot's trying to kill these two people basically, and, trying to kill the final girl and just won't stop. And similar to the Terminator, there's like several times where she kills the robot oh, but the robot's, got a backup battery pack and
That's funny.
it's not dead. So it's very much like the Terminator. It goes on a little long with that because I do feel like they kill the robot like 18 different times, and it keeps coming back. So it's fun. And I also saw a lot of people, several people online saying that they didn't like the two leads. And I couldn't disagree more because the two leads, basically the entire movie until like the killing starts, they argue the entire time about movies and music. I feel like perfect. Like, yeah, like I'd fit right in with these guys. So I enjoyed the two leads. And again, for what it was, Christmas horror, not bad.
And Christmas horror is one of my favorite subgenres. I love intense, Christmas movies that pack a punch. One might even call them, violent. And that takes me to the next film that I want to discuss, which is Violent Night, starring David Harbour, John Leguizamo, and Atlanta's own Alexis Louder.
I'm dying to see this movie, by the way. I am dying to see this movie.
So good. You might know Alexis from The Tomorrow War, directed by Chris McKay, somebody we'll talk about in a second.
She did the Frank Grillo movie, didn't she?
Cop Shop.
Cop Shop, that's right. Yeah.
And then she's also in the Terminal List, the Amazon television show.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
And so this movie is about David Harbour plays Santa Claus, the real Santa Claus, who happens to stumble upon a heist led by John Leguizamo, Luigi himself. And it is balls to the wall fun. It is everything you want it to be. David Harbour is like a little bit more depressed than Red Guardian, that sort of character. He's a Santa who's seen better days, but he's violent as shit, as the name suggests. And it's just from beginning to end, it's cathartic, and everything you want to happen happens. And it's just balls to the wall, a great time. But we're going to stay with that Christmas spirit for a while. We know it's January, but when Chad texted me the list of things he saw, every other word was Christmas. So this next one, that holds true for a sequel to a movie that already had a sequel that nobody remembers, but this is Christmas Story Christmas. So Chad, tell us about Christmas Story Christmas.
Yeah, so I didn't see the original sequel, or if I did, maybe I was young and don't really remember it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this had any bearing on this movie or if they just kind of threw this one away, but it seemed like it was just a direct sequel to the original. A lot of the original cast is back. Ralphie's back. His brother is back. All of his friends are back. The bully's back. So it's cool that they're all back. And I do think that the movie succeeds in being a sequel to A Christmas Story, which is, again, beloved by a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult to make a sequel to that movie that people are going to like, unless you're like starting from scratch. So if you're continuing with these same characters, I think they did about as well of a job as they could do. It was really about Ralphie coming to grips with like the death of his father. And, again, the twist is he is writing the original Christmas Story movie.
Oh, that's great. That's
pretty
if
cool.
you want to call it a twist, but because you kind of figure that out from the very beginning.
I mean, he's narrating the first one. Yeah,
exactly. So it's not like a twist, but so it's kind of cool how they did that. But again, there's callbacks to the old movie. He's narrating throughout this. I really think it was a solid effort for really being a sequel to a beloved Christmas classic.
Did he direct it? Peter, the guy plays Ralphie. Did he direct it?
I'll look. I'm not sure. I didn't think so, but
I don't think he did.
No, I don't think he did. But I'll look. While you
the guy who played his dad back in the day, Darren McGavin. One of the first shows I remember watching a gazillion years ago that sort of had a cool supernatural, almost X-Files bent. It was called The Night Stalker.
Yeah.
And Darren McGavin was the reporter, and it was awesome. God, that was a great show.
The director is Clay Catus.
I love his work.
Oh, wow.
I don't know Clay Catus.
I don't know Clay.
He looks like he's directed a lot of animated stuff. So
gotcha. Okay.
So
Well, that sounds. Yeah, I like.
Cool.
I've seen the first A Christmas Story, and I've seen the sequel that they did in the 90s. The sequel was bad. The original is a classic. But speaking of that subject matter, that depressing subject matter of coming to terms with losing a father figure, that takes me to a film that I want to talk about, which is a Netflix documentary called Senior, directed by Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Downey Sr. It's a loving depiction and love letter to the Iron Man star's father, who is a filmmaker, that's well regarded. Putney Swope is probably his most popular film, which is not without its own problems, but Putney Swope, will go down in record halls for various reasons as a weird, insane comedy. And that was Robert Downey Sr.'s sort of style. He would talk about modern issues, but through the scope of this insane humor that he and his son share. And the movie, the premise of it is this: Robert Downey Jr. wants to make a movie about his father. His father is not interested unless he gets to make a movie about himself as well. So they're both making a film about Robert Downey Sr. And during the process of this, you're going over Robert Downey Sr.'s career. And unfortunately, you're seeing him as he gets closer to the end of his life. It is a heart-wrenching film at times. It is, I personally feel, brave of Robert Downey Jr. to put this out, because there are some moments that are very vulnerable. So it's on Netflix. If you are willing to sit through the emotional journey, I do highly recommend it. I really loved it. I enjoyed it, but I also cried like a little bitch at it because it brought up a lot of things I was dealing with, right? But sometimes we just have to give ourselves that gift of allowing ourselves to cry, allowing ourselves to deal with these feelings. And some of those gifts turn out emotional and some of them turn out frightening. Like the next film that Chad's going to talk about, Scare Package 2. Now, again, when I just saw your text, I thought you had a stroke because it was just Christmas 2, Christmas 2, Christmas 2. Everything was Christmas in twos. What the fuck is Scare Package 2? And what the fuck was Scare Package 1? Go ahead.
They're both on Shudder. Scare Package 1, they're both anthologies.
Oh, makes sense.
So the original is about a guy who runs a video store and he's playing different videos.
Okay. Yeah.
And so he's Rad Chad. So he's awesome.
Well,
Scare Package 2 is Rad Chad's Revenge. So look out. This one, though, is I really love the wraparound. The wraparound in this is Saw-esque.
Okay.
In the fact that the people are kidnapped, and then a video will pop up, and then he'll make them watch a short or a video. And they're hit and miss, like we talk about it all the times. But there's some funny, clever things in it. Like one of them is a video of like these girls set in the 90s, and they're nerds, and there's a slasher, but they think they're going to be fine because they're smart and they don't have sex. But slashers have changed to where they're getting killed, and the hot cheerleaders next door having sex are not getting killed. They're the fighters that are winning, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? How are we dying and they're not? So it's clever stuff like that. It's very funny. I would say Scare Package 2 probably has at least 20 references to other horror movies. So it's like a horror movie. If you love horror movies, it's like a dream to watch just because it's fun. You can catch a bunch of different things that they're alluding to. There's like Hellraiser reference, Saw, Freddy, all that stuff. But I don't want to tell you this one bit because it's so freaking funny. They in movies where they have the guy coming in with a slow clap when somebody says something. This happens in this, but the guy's in a wheelchair. So he claps, and then he has to stop clapping and roll in a little bit, and then clap, and then roll in some more. It's the funniest slow clap I'd ever seen in my entire life. It's like super slow because he's got to roll in between every slap.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I love some Shudder stuff. I love any scary movie that can bring the humor with it, the homage, all those references, like layers. And those different layers is what we're going to talk about next, as Rob talks about a film that he saw, Glass Onion. So I talked about Glass Onion a little bit last time. Rob, what did you think about Glass Onion?
I was concerned the first 12 minutes. I had some concerns. I was like, am I being punked here? Is this what's happening here?
Real fast, you guys can spoil this because I have seen it as well.
Oh, well, Chad's seen it too. Okay, well, awesome.
Chad, what'd you think?
I like where you're going with this, Rob. Let's hear it.
It started off a little slow. I was a little concerned at first, but once they got to the island, it found its footing, and it was a shitload of fun. I actually, it's been a while since I saw the first one. I found myself, once we got past the first 12-minute slog, I found myself enjoying this one a lot more than I had more fun with this one. I remember liking the first one, but I seem to have a lot more fun with this one. Again, another star-studded cast. Everybody did a great job. There was not a weak link in this. I think the standouts, fucking Dave Bautista. Maybe there's just nobody more comfortable in their own skin, but he just fits into everything, and it's nothing false. There's just never a false note from that dude. How is that possible? He's amazing. Just a fun story. Some funny turns and that are unexpected, which is what you want in a murder mystery. You don't want everything laid out in front of you. I found myself laughing. They had me hooked from beginning to end. I'm glad there's a third one coming. That's all I know. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Chad, what about you?
I enjoyed it too, like Rob did. I think it is more fun than the original Knives Out, but I like the original Knives Out a lot better. And that is because the original Knives Out, to me, kind of did something different with the genre, in the sense that we see how the person dies at the beginning, and we think, well, how's this a mystery now because he's died? And Ana de Armas is working with the detective trying to cover her tracks, and we're seeing all of that play out, which is really a twist on the murder mystery, where this one was a more straightforward murder mystery, which is fine. I enjoyed it. I love the characters. It was a lot of fun. I just think Knives Out was a smarter movie, where this was more of a paint by numbers murder mystery, not in a bad way at all. There's plenty of murder mysteries that are excellent. So it was a very good murder mystery. I just wouldn't put it on the same level as Knives Out. But again, like Rob said, Bautista, the man.
Yeah. And I think Rian Johnson's very clever too with both of these films, and trying to figure out a way to sell you that Daniel Craig is the main character when he's really not. He's not really the protagonist of either one of the stories. It's Ana de Armas and Janelle Monáe. Or from my point of view, Angela Lansbury and her little cameo in the beginning. But I just love everything that movie served up to us. And that's the next film I want to talk about, The Menu. Chad reviewed it last week, and Jesus fucking Christ, what a good movie that is. Talk about amazing performances from John Leguizamo again. Luigi's making his return. Anna Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult, who we'll talk about again in a minute. Ralph Fiennes. I don't want to say fun, because it's not fun, but it's quirky and interesting the entire time. I loved it a lot. And so, if you are interested in a dark movie, then be my guest to go see it, which takes me to the next thing.
No, I watched it. I finished watching it 10 minutes before this podcast.
Oh, talk to me about it.
Well, it's going to come back again in the top 5 because I thought it was great. I only saw 6 movies this year, so it's gonna. So it made its way into the top 5.
The Musters would have been his number 7.
Good Lord. It was. I'll debate. I'll say it was fun. It was dark, and it was. The fun takes a turn, and it becomes incredibly uncomfortable. Anya Taylor-Joy. Arguably she's top 10 as far as working actors going. Absolutely. She is phenomenal. Nicholas Hoult. Again, I was, until watching this movie, I would have said, I love him. He's always likable. And I love the fact that he wasn't in this. And an absolute dick. And I was like, that's awesome. Because you expect him. I think it's a nice bit of casting, because you cast him as the nice, well-mannered he's going to be. And he was a dick. Yeah. Ralph Fiennes, that motherfucker. Wow. And again, I think that's one of the best performances of the year. He won't get nominated for anything because of the genre, but that was a haunted,
yeah,
frightening, broken man that, holy shit, just his stillness scared me from the get-go. And I was like, oh God, this guy is just going to explode with what's going on.
There's a moment.
Yeah,
there's a moment where she brings up part of his past. And she asks for something of him, the thing that gets her freedom at the end.
Yes.
And that look in his face of, he looked so unstable.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. It was incredible, that performance he did. Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
She sort of gave him a catch-22 in a way where he was not going to alienate what his calling was.
Yeah.
It was. I got to tell you, if we weren't having a podcast right after this, I don't know what the best burger joint nearby is.
100%.
But I would have gotten a double fucking cheeseburger because that thing
looked amazing.
The way when he pushed down on it, it was just the juices. I was like, what the fuck is that? Oh my God, that was the best looking burger ever.
Especially compared to the other stuff that he made.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Like
Sure.
Sea foam and bacteria. Yeah.
What a cast in that room. Some of the actors they got who were just very little to say, very little, and but yeah, also, that was very good.
It also felt so connected because a lot of times you were
over the shoulders.
Yeah.
You never missed anybody. It was shot and directed so fucking well. I cannot remember the name of the person who directed it, but I remember thinking, I want them given something. I want them given a Marvel movie. I want that. I mean, that was a blast. That was great. That was one of my favorite movies of the year.
And also the lady from the Watchmen television series that was in it. His right hand. Oh my, she was incredible.
And she's getting a lot of publicity right now and potential award nomination talk. She plays one of the few characters in The Whale. She's sort of
she's the assistant or the
yes, exactly, yes. And she's awesome. She was in that movie, that crazy Matt Damon movie where they always shrunk down. Everybody was downsized. Yeah. She was amazing in that. She's tremendous.
Yeah, she's tremendous. She's absolutely phenomenal. And it's just an all-star cast. But that brings me to the next thing I want to talk about, where I feel my first segue was a little bit better, but this beast of an asshole, Rob, ruined it. But that brings me back on point to Beauty and the Beast, the 30th anniversary special. Now, if you're unfamiliar with these anniversary specials that Disney does, here's what happens. They have the animated feature being played on a giant screen, and then when they get to the musical numbers, they'll have a live cast come out and perform it. They've also done it with Little Mermaid, with Queen Latifah playing Ursula, John Stamos playing the chef, Shaggy, not the Zoinks, but the It Wasn't Me guy doing Sebastian the Crab, all sorts of great stuff. Same thing here with Beauty and the Beast, but it's her, the musician Her, as Belle, Josh Groban as the Beast, Shania Twain as Mrs. Potts, Martin Short as Lumiere, David Alan Grier as Cogsworth, and it's just a great little cast with some great moments throughout the entire thing. Her, the singer, she has an enchanting, beautiful voice. Shania Twain, Jesus Christ, is just amazing. I don't necessarily like the format of this, but at the very end, when they do the big Beauty and the Beast reprisal number, it's her and Josh Groban singing together, and then her steps away in the golden Belle dress, and then she comes down a staircase playing a see-through electric guitar, wailing the Beauty and the Beast solo, while Josh Groban sings to her, and rose petals fall from the sky. And I was like, this is the most fucking metal Disney princess I've ever seen in my life. Cool. It was super fun. So just for that, and it's hosted by Rita Moreno, so which is incredible in of itself. So a lot of interesting stuff going on there.
You know, your impression of Shaggy was so bad. It took me like 5 minutes to figure out what you're saying, because it's like, okay, it's not the Scooby-Doo Shaggy. What the fuck Shaggy is he even talking about? It was so bad.
I was a perfect Shaggy impression. I want you to go.
What was he talking about? I still don't know what he's talking about.
The Shaggy guy was he goes,
it wasn't me.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
He's
a singer.
He's
a singer.
It wasn't me.
Is he,
Oh, they call me Mr.
I'm the hot
Bombastic.
stepper. Yeah, Mr. Bombastic. Totally
Gotcha.
fantastic.
Okay. Somehow I got it from Chad. That's good. That's impressive. Nice singing.
Point is, my
It wasn't
impression.
me. It was horrible.
Point is, my impression was perfect. And I don't see you guys doing better versions of that. I mean, Rob can't even do an Irish accent, but that brings us to our next.
Hearts, moon, stars, clovers. Yeah, you're
Oh,
right.
God.
Never mind. Fuck, it's not
Yeah.
bad. It wasn't me.
Our next film that we're going to discuss, The Banshees of Inisherin. Chad, have you seen this one yet, or is it just me and Rob?
I've not seen it. Probably will not see it, even when you guys recommend it. Probably after this.
I wouldn't recommend it for you.
Okay,
I
good.
don't think this is a Chad movie. It's too A24-ish. Rob, what did you think about The Banshees of Inisherin?
I'm a big fan of the director. The director writer. I've enjoyed his previous movies immensely, and this one, boy, it's really well made. It's really good. It feels seamless in its storytelling. It's very intimate. The character building is wonderful. The acting is tremendous. I think Colin Farrell is a shoo-in. He's. I mean, what a year that dude had.
Well, I don't know. I think Donald Gleason's got a hand up on the competition. Get it?
Boom! I get you. That was not Donald. Donald's his son.
Brendan.
Brendan. Yeah. I was watching it. It took such a dark turn so quickly that I paused the TV and I went, you know what? I'm not mentally prepared to watch him do what he may do here. I need a good night's sleep and I'm going to come back. And I literally stopped the movie there because I didn't want to deal with what I thought I was potentially about to witness. Turned it off, forgot about it for a day, prepped myself, came back. He did it.
Yeah.
But it was just fuck. And I understand how effective that could be to an audience who can't just go, I'm not watching this right now. I gotta, because I don't know where my head was at. But it was came back. It is so well told, and so it was fun and endearing, and it big dark, and then it just, boy, it takes a left turn, and it is disturbing, and it is dark. And I will argue that it got a lot dark. I know you mentioned the menu is dark, and the menu is dark. This is so much darker, and it's shrouded by the background of this war. You know, it's period piece of the war going on in Ireland, and it gets claustrophobic because you feel the war getting closer and closer, paralleling to the war that these two people are having, and it's just, I'll say it's fucked up. But it's so well made, and it's so powerful. I don't think it's A20. To me, it's not A24-ish. But again, I don't know how Chad. I can't remember how you felt about his previous movies. Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Montana. Yeah,
it's not in Bruges.
In Bruges. In Bruges. But Colin Farrell is heartbreaking.
Yeah,
heartbreaking. And Gleason is too. Don't get me wrong. Brendan Gleason is too. The sister, what I just read her name, Carrie Condon. Tremendous. She'll be up for all the supporting award. There's a woman though in this movie who
terrifying.
I would imagine, and I don't. She must be in every other movie about a witch that's on Shudder. I've never seen this woman before. I don't know if there's enough makeup to make someone look like a witch like that. That's got to be what she looks like. And she scared the shit out of me the whole time.
I don't think she's an actress. I think she's just an Irish witch that kept wandering into the shot.
And they were too afraid to tell her to leave, so they just included her.
Yeah, and so they just let her say whatever she wanted.
Terrifying. It was a very well-made movie. It'll probably be nominated. I mean, they're nominating 9 or 10 films. It'll be nominated for Best Picture. I thought it was very well done. It was just it's a ride. It's a disturbing ride.
Yeah, and it's the same thing here. Rob kind of ruined part of the thing for me because I'd started watching it and Rob was like, yeah, once so and so does this, then I couldn't watch it anymore. I'm like,
I thought he already seen the movie.
Fuck, man. And so But I thought that was going to be like the big turn, but then it just keeps turning. Like it just keeps happening. And it's more than any of his other pieces, this writer director, it feels like a play. And that's his background is this theater. And to me, this felt intimate, like a theatrical show. It felt like it was taking the dark turns that sometimes modern plays will take. And ultimately, it's a story about role reversal in kind of an interesting way. To me, Barry Keoghan deserves an Oscar as supporting actor. To me, his performance
tremendous. I'm sorry to mention him. Yeah, tremendous. Wow,
he is fucking exceptional. And that's amidst an amazing cast, but his performance is like, you just can't stop looking at him. He's so natural, and it's so Irish. It's so quintessentially Irish in its bitter, dark turn of things, in its style of humor, in everything. So if you're a Galophile, I totally think you should watch this one. This one's great, and it's dark, and it is bitter. It is gallows humor, but I think it's absolutely fantastic. And a lot of work from the British Isles always has this twinge of darkness about it, and that's no different than the next thing I want to talk about, which is Roald Dahl's Matilda the musical. So this is a Netflix premiere starring Emma Thompson, and it is a blast. Like it's tied for number 5 of my favorite movies of the year because I had such a good time watching this movie. First of all, Lashana Lynch is in this movie, and she proves that she can do absolutely anything. She has a beautiful singing voice, emotes in this amazing ways. It's just absolutely incredible, the entire show, or film. It is dark in the way that The Witches was when I was a kid, the Jim Henson, the Roald Dahl story. Like, it captures those dark essential elements, but also this sense of fun. The director of this, it made it visually stunning. It's eye-popping every 5 seconds. Emma just gets lost in the performance, and the person who wrote the music is I think he's Australian comedian Tim. I can't find his name real quick. I'll probably put it up on the video. But the songs are just super clever and super fun. Yeah, if you get a chance, Matilda on Netflix is super enjoyable. I recommend it. I can't recommend it enough. I think we lost Chad for a second.
What the hell happened?
I think his internet froze.
That's what happens when you live up in the mountains, North Georgia.
Or he just
maybe was abducted by a UFO or something.
Or he just hates Matilda.
He told me before this that he really hates Matilda. Wow. Waltzing Matilda even more so.
He despises girls with telepathy. Also, in the background, you hear Rob.
He told me girls have cooties, by the way.
That's probably true.
You guys hear my dog snoring? Can you hear? Can you hear Stashi? Is that more exciting than a Yule log?
Oh, totally. He looks like a Yule log, like a little meaty.
He does. He's sawing Yule logs right now. Where the hell are you, Chad Dowdy? You freaking weirdo. Mm-hmm. Keep coming back. Maybe he had a bad meal and it went south on him or something. Maybe he had to rush to the potty.
He looked like he was frozen for a while.
Oh, my goodness. It's quite all right. I'm hearing good things about the Flash movie.
Yeah, they want to keep Ezra Miller.
I've heard rumors, in the sense that it's you could almost see them hoping that it was terrible. And it was like, God damn it, it's good.
I think it's going to look bad if they keep Ezra but ditch Gal. You know what I mean?
They're not keeping anybody. Yeah. You can't. How do you do that? How do you do that? Unless you're talking about variants. And I just don't think they're going to do that.
Well, I think if the Flash movie serves as a flashpoint, then that allows you to just rewrite everything. And now we're in a new universe at the end of it. But the problem is you have Aquaman coming out after that. You know what I mean? If you would just flip that, then you're good. You can make this is the start of the new continuity.
Because they have 4 movies. They have Blue Beetle, Flash, Shazam, and
Aquaman.
And what's the orders? Is Aquaman the only one coming out after Flash?
Yeah, I think so. Chad's internet went out. He's restarting the router.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's sort of an untenable position that he's in over there, but I'm sure they've got a plan. And again, I just wish he wouldn't even address it. I just move forward and make shit. Just make good content right now.
Well, the rumor now is that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, went in and asked had like a multi-year plan for him and Superman, was demanding specific bars be located on set and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard that. Today somebody was talking about that.
But I don't know.
That's good. Yeah, that's great. I heard that and again, I'm quoting the internet like a fucking idiot. I couldn't sound stupider, but at the premiere, he wanted them to have a tequila bar with his tequila at the premiere of his PG-13 movie. Yeah, who the hell knows? Hopefully, look, it's they got a decent start with a decent Batman movie. I don't know if that'll be part of their main continuity.
I don't think so.
I don't either. And I kind of hope not. I'd like to see something fresh, something new. And look, DC started Elseworlds. That's their thing, right? Yeah. It's all part of your DNA. Let that Batman be an Elseworld. Let the Joker be an Elseworld. God knows they were successful, and I just think it goes to prove: look, you make good shit, people will come see it. Yeah. Don't make average stuff. Don't make below average or average shit.
But to me, like that would allow you to also you could still have Cavill over here in this corner with an Elseworld thing. You could still satisfy.
No, but it was already. He's already has the stink of the Snyderverse on him, and they want to kill that. They've got to put that to death because that is such a poison pill of bullshit on the internet. They've got to literally. They have to excise that demon. They have to get rid of it.
No, and I get you, but I also think that there are people who still love the Snyderverse casting more than the Snyderverse films. So if you wanted to appease those,
and I'm one of them. I'm one of them. Yeah, I absolutely one of them.
But Wonder Woman 3 could play over there, but we're just doing something very much more concentrated over here. You know what I mean?
But you've got to kill that voice that is the lunatic fringe of the Snyderverse. You got to kill it.
Say you wipe it all, like you.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm not against Jeff. And I was thinking about that earlier today. I think the casting of the Snyderverse was the best thing about the Snyderverse.
Absolutely.
And I think those people just happen to be. Hey, look, it's like any actor. You don't control. You just don't control the product. You're a piece of it. You're an ingredient in the product. He was great as Superman. He was great as Superman in average or bad Superman movies. You know,
but I think it's also like I think you have such a perfect storm of problems from I think Zack Snyder not understanding the material, wanting to push it in a place that wasn't supported by the material, and then also studio interference, also studio involvement, also Joss Whedon being a dick, like all those things. You know, the racist allegations against some of the heads of Warner Brothers.
That's why they just have to literally just nuke the entire Snyderverse thing and let it just. It's in history. It could be on it. You can watch it on DVD or on HBO Max. That's fine. It's there for posterity. But you got to move on. You got to reboot. I think it was funny you said that because to me that was the same problem. I think that depending whether you like how much you liked Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange, it disappointed me on a lot of levels. But what really annoyed me was to me the disconnect from the end of WandaVision to how she was immediately in Multiverse. And then when it came out that oh my god, I just forgot his name. Evil Dead, Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Didn't watch the source material. Come on, man. While everybody was gone and Chad was trying to figure out his internet up there, we were discussing how the behind the scenes leaks about the Flash and how good it might be, and jokingly how DC's like, God damn it, it's good. Now we got to use it.
All that's recorded, so that'll all go in. Also, addendum.
Never mind. Okay, good.
Yeah, Chad hates Matilda so much, he got the fuck out of here. And Tim Minchin is the name of the man who wrote the music for the musical. He's a British-Australian comedian. He's hilarious. I'm sure if you see a picture of him, you'll recognize him. But yeah, Chad, it's wonderful to have you back with us.
Yeah, I don't have the big city internet like you guys do. Sometimes it goes out, the cow trips over something. That's what happens up here.
Those drunks go cow tipping, and there goes the internet. God damn it.
Well, that's the magical thing about the internet is oftentimes in one day it will connect us all. But that takes us into the next thing that I want to talk about. I don't know if Chad watched these first 2 episodes, but I definitely did. And that's the return of Star Wars to good television. Finally, Star Wars The Bad Batch season 2 has premiered its first 2 episodes. Chad, what did you think about this return to Squadron 99? How did you feel about the first 2 episodes?
This was fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. I like the Bad Batch. I like the characters. Omega looks a little bit older. I kind of like that. She is more involved as opposed to the first season where she's more like, what's going on? What's going on? So I like that aspect. Again, it's just 2 episodes. It's like 40 minutes total, something like that. Really short. Didn't get a whole lot. But like you were saying, it's cool that we're back to the action in Star Wars. Yeah. Finally.
I'm so confused. I thought the Bad Batch was the combo pack they're selling at Walmart of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I love the fact he wrote that joke down.
No, you can't prove that. You can't. It's all audio. It's all audio.
You checked your notes.
Up. I did not. I thought my dog was snoring. I thought my dog was snoring. I'm going to go back to 1. Hey, I thought the Bad Batch...
It still fucked it up.
Got back to 1. I thought the Bad Batch was the combo pack of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Boba Fett they were selling.
And you looked again.
I'm cold reading here. Hey, it's a quick rewrite. I got to...
That's awesome.
I need about 10 more takes on it. I thought the Bad Batch was the... fuck, I can't remember my line.
Now you see why Rob and I don't work a lot. I think, I agree with Chad. It was like, for these 2 episodes, it's really fucking action packed. Like it was, and plus also how much money are they saving? You just get one guy to do almost all the voices.
Exactly.
So yeah, I had a blast with it. I really kind of half expected that, because I know Rampart or whatever his name is was in the previous season, but I kind of expected that to be Cuckboy from Andor. I thought they would like try to tie those in a little bit because he kind of looked more like him, but
they want to distance themselves from Andor. Trust me,
as much as possible.
Yes, they got to get away from that. Oh my God, you kidding me? I did like the end though. It was cool how that Imperial just killed that clone. Absolutely. For not going along. It makes me think that the arc of this season could be them phasing out the clones. That'd be great.
We've never really seen that, but we know that's where we go to, and that's the awesome things is the Star Wars universe. It's been well mapped out, but there are all these little places and sections of the history that we haven't explored. And with each new installment, we have the chance to see the way something works in a new part of this world that we haven't visited before. And that takes me to the next thing I want to talk about, which is the number 10 highest grossing film of all time as of today, Avatar: The Way of Water. So Chad and I saw this. Chad, what did you think about James Cameron's return to Pandora?
Well, I really like the fact that we didn't lead off with the 10th highest grossing movie of all time, the sequel to the highest grossing movie of all time. We got it buried in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
So
make them wait.
Yeah, exactly. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I liked it maybe not quite as much as the first one, but it's the 3D that really sells this movie for me personally. I'm immersed in it. It was awesome. It's 3+ hours. It didn't feel that way.
No.
To me, because I really felt like I'm just living in that world. I thought the 3D was incredible. Beautiful. It's gorgeous. The storyline is good. It's James Cameron. Huge fan of James Cameron. I like it all. I think it just maybe passed 1.5 billion or something like that is what is what it just hit. So, like you said, it's the highest grossing movie of 2022 now. It just passed Top Gun as far as that goes. So, I'm not a hater on the Avatar series. I like Avatar. I'm not like a uber fan to where like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for part 3. But when part 3 comes out, I'm going to be right there watching it opening weekend. I can tell you, it was good.
Yeah. Like, I don't give a fuck about Avatar, but they're really pretty. Like, I'm not clamoring for it, but I definitely will watch it just because I trust James Cameron. And even if I wanted this movie, even if I didn't see the hype going into it, even if I don't fully understand why Avatar is the #1 movie of all time, that's not me. That's Rob's dog. I swear, it sounds like a whale singing, which is very appropriate for this movie.
Stash is he is sawing some serious laws. Holy shit!
But even if I don't understand necessarily the hype for these movies, I can't fault this movie. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna mute me.
Definitely.
I can't fault this movie. Going in, it is absolutely beautiful. It is Pocahontas meets Free Willy. The story is very primitive, but visually, yeah, it's stunning, and it's good storytelling. I don't get how James Cameron could ever insult a Marvel movie, because you're doing superhero shit. Like, that's what you're doing. Yeah. But I will say, this and Banshees of Inisherin both had moments that triggered me as far as cruelty to animals. I found myself crying in both movies because of the treatment of animals, right? And even though these Avatar animals aren't even fucking real, like, but still, beautiful movie, beautiful. I don't know what scene Kate Winslet had to hold her breath for 7 minutes for. It took me till today to figure out which fucking one she was. Like, it's so.
Listen, I knew from going in who she was, but legitimately, she was in the water the least out of every single one
anybody. The fucking kid from Wild Thornberrys was in the water more than she was.
Yeah. I do feel like probably it was probably from part 3 stuff. Maybe they were shooting some part 3 stuff too, maybe. But certainly there's no reason.
None.
She was barely in the water.
I think the whole fucking thing is because that chick from Black Panther got it, and they're like, nope, we got to be racist and give it back to a white lady. Like, that's some bullshit, is what I think. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'll watch the third one, Book of Fire, or whatever they're doing. If there's a character named Aang, I can just see every time James Cameron announces one of these based on the elements, the Nickelodeon people are like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, they go crazy. They're like, are you kidding me?
Avatar, Way of Water? Fuck you, man. Like, that's ridiculous. But those are all the movies that we're reviewing. Now we're going to move on to trailers.
Coming soon.
So after that pimpin' trailer song, we got 2 trailers that we're going to talk about. The first one is a return to a horror franchise developed by Sam Raimi himself. And that is the newest film in the Evil Dead franchise, Evil Dead Rise. I was bad about doing my homework, so give me 1 second. The film is directed by Lee Cronin, written by Lee Cronin and Sam Raimi, starring Alyssa Sutherland, Lily Sullivan, Morgan Davies, Nell Fisher, Jaden Daniels, Gabrielle Eccles, Billy Reynolds McCarthy, and Ty Wano. The story is a twisted tale of 2 estranged sisters whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable. So, Chad, how did these Deadites strike you? What are your feelings about Evil Dead Rise?
I mean, sign me up, man. You know, I like the Evil Dead series a lot. My favorite is the original. It's almost a perfect movie as far as horror goes. The original Evil Dead, and I know some people like Evil Dead 2 more. To me, it's good, but it almost goes across the line of too silly, and the series kind of goes that way, which is fine. That's what it is. Yeah. This seems more like a return to the original. It doesn't seem silly. at all. It seems super creepy. It does seem like, though, this trailer, they gave us so much horror in this trailer. I just felt like it was never going to end because they just kept. I thought, what's left for the movie? They just showed us. I'm not talking about storyline, but like horror elements, gory elements, creepy elements. So much in that movie without a lot of story that I'm just wondering, honestly, what's left for the movie.
It was overwhelming. I swear to God, that's what I was going to say. From beginning to end, I was like, money shot, money shot, money shot, money. It was, and it looked great. I mean, the production value was awesome. That looks, I wonder. I sit here and go, how much they showed us. If the movie, the ratio is that high, how much of it's actually going to be scary because we're going to be used to it? Because every one of those moments by itself, I thought, if set up right, could be really scary. But holy shit! I mean, that was, and it looked great. It looked great. The effects looked great. It's been a long time since I've seen Evil Dead 1 or 2. I remember being a fan. It's been a long time. This looked looked like Evil Dead on steroids. This looked amazing.
But that's the thing to me that makes me feel they get it, because the thing about Evil Dead, all of them, especially once you get past the first one, there are some horror films that you build into the tension, that you build into the scares and the world, and others you're thrown in head first and you have to deal with the insanity. And that's sort of the Sam Raimi way of it all, right? From the beginning of Evil Dead 2 Dead by Dawn, it's insanity. It's pure chaos. And that's what this feels, bombastic. I also think this does a great job of setting up, we were talking about Scream 6 the other day and how, eventually we're going to have to get past Sidney Prescott. This does a great job of saying, hey, this is something new, by talking about the evolution of the franchise. And to me, it honestly feels more like a sequel to that fourth film that was released. That wasn't necessarily a remake, but it captures a lot of that tone. You know what I mean? I'm fucking here for it. I think it looks great. I think it looks absolutely wonderful. I can't wait to sink my teeth into it. But that takes us to our next film that we're going to talk about, releasing April 14th of 2023, directed by Chris McKay, the director of the Tomorrow War and Lego Batman, written by Robert Kirkman, the writer of The Walking Dead, and Ryan Ridley from Rick and Morty, starring Nicolas Cage, Nicholas Hoult, Awkwafina, Ben Schwartz, Brandon Scott Jones, Jenna Kennel, William Ragsdale, Caroline Williams, Camille Shin, Adrian Martinez, Joshua Michael, Choppy Gillette, Dave Davis, Gisette Valentine, Bess Rue, and Taylor Shirt. This is Renfield. Dracula's henchman and inmate out of the lunatic asylum is what the description is. I'll say it's a story about Renfield, the longtime assistant of Dracula, trying to get out from under the shadow of his employer. That's sort of what the story is about. Chad, what did you think about the trailer for Renfield?
Well, I think you missed a cast member when you was going down the cast list. I feel like
IMDb won't add me to it, but whatever. Yeah, I'm in it.
Keith Brooks is in it. This looks fun. It's a clever way to look at the vampire familiar relationship.
Yeah.
I like that idea. And Nick Cage's Dracula, awesome. But my concern, other than maybe some of the bit characters that we're going to see in the film, some of the side characters maybe, my concern is this going to be a one-note joke through the whole movie? Or if it is it something they can sustain?
Yeah.
Or is it not that at all? But because, again, it worked for this trailer to me. It was funny. I like the kind of twist on the idea with him being in a support group and all that. So it looks interesting to me for sure.
What about you, Rob?
It was all right.
Yep. Okay. There you go.
I thought visually it looked really good. I liked the way it looked. It sort of captured the old classic Dracula feel, not the shitty way the Munsters did it, but in a more modern. They did it with skill and talent. Holy crap. It wasn't as fun as I wanted it to be. It wasn't as shocking as I wanted it to be. It wasn't. And again, it was the first trailer. I really hope they're holding back on a lot of the stuff. It's only January. We got almost 4 months before this January, 3 months, 4 months till it comes out. I'm hoping some people we know are like in the real fun scenes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah, I hope
That's
Josh is in one of those scenes too.
Yeah, he's a really good actor. He was probably of all the actors from Atlanta that are in it, he's probably like the good one.
Probably, definitely. Yeah, like, look, so definitely I'm biased, but I will say I thought this trailer was much better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I actually enjoyed the trailer. I sort of have a feeling for the movie, you know, even when...
Well, Danny Roebuck really liked the trailer for the Monsters. I watched
There you
his,
go. There you go.
I really watched his trailer breakdown. He really spun some gold.
I feel I am the Danny Roebuck of this movie too. No, I think, you know, I think Chris McKay is a very interesting visual director. I think Lego Batman is one of my favorite movies of all time. I haven't seen the Tomorrow War. I knew that this was sort of that bridge gap between Monster Squad and a superhero movie is the vibe I got from it. And even in some of the stuff that I shot, to me, it had the feeling of a Batman, like that 60s Batman, but in a more modern atmosphere. And this feels like that, definitely, right? And I know there are some surprises and surprising factors that are in this movie that I'm excited to see. But I thought the comedic tone of it, I thought it landed throughout the trailer. And just, Nicolas Cage, man. I just can't wait for you to see Holt and Cage and Awkwafina and Swartz all together. It's gonna be fucking incredible.
I do like that. I like that. I like Chris McKay. I do like. I mean, the fact that he's directed this. Yeah. And look, it felt like a well-made movie. I just was. Yeah. I'm waiting to see more.
Yeah. Understood. You were gonna say something.
Rob's just pissed you weren't in the trailer. That's really what it is.
Rob's just pissed he didn't get cast.
Like,
that's
what it is. My best friend is not in the trailer. This trailer sucks.
Bullshit, man. It's bullshit.
I'm like, oh, there's a shot in there where, like, if it would have just gone on 2 more seconds, you would have saw me. But whatever. Anyway, so, but speaking of, we weren't speaking of anything. Winding this fucking shit down.
I know I sleep through half these podcasts. Did we talk about the trailer to Megan?
Yeah, when it first came out.
Okay, we did. Okay.
Yeah.
Which I'll be watching.
I saw the trailer at the when I went to see Babylon a couple weeks ago, and on the big screen that was great. It was fun. It was terrifying. I can't wait to see that fucking thing.
You know, it's amazing too. Megan is, at least the last time I looked, it was 96% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, crazy.
That's crazy for a horror film.
Yeah, the word of mouth is unbelievable. The word of mouth is unbelievable on that thing right now.
But also, let's go back for a second. So Rob can talk about Babylon, a fucking movie he saw apparently that came out this year.
All right, guys, that's on Babylon.
Rob, how was Babylon? What did you think?
Oh, I don't want to babble on about it. You can cut that. Hey, it's weird. It's I have a strange relationship with Babylon. The first half of that movie is epic. I mean, epic. And it goes on. It's a 3-hour, 15-minute movie. The first hour and a half, 2 hours fly by. And then it's sort of, it hits the brakes. When you see the lead characters' lives take a turn. But the first hour and a half, 2 hours, a visual feast of debauchery and everybody in it is phenomenal. Margot Robbie, God bless. Like not every movie lands that she's in. It ain't her fault. She is tremendous in this movie, and if you are going to see it, I think it benefits a big screen. It is visually stunning. It is the opening 30 minutes rival. I want to say it's episode 5, season 3 of The Boys, A Herogasm. It is graphic and debauched. It is Sodom and Gomorrah. It is him trying to tell us this is what the world was like in Hollywood back in the 30s.
Oh, man, damn.
Just right before the silent movies went to sound, and it is a hell of a story. So
your adult years, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Well, now middle age for me. It's a little. He misses the mark a little bit. But it was pretty impressive. I thought it was impressive. Anyway, he's a good filmmaker. Yeah, you go.
You heard it here.
Any other surprises, Rob? Movies that you've seen?
Probably.
Have you seen The Whale?
No. But I saw The Whale 2 on Shudder. No, I'm kidding. Thank you.
The Whale Christmas 2.
Yeah, The Whale Christmas Special 2 on Shudder.
Christmas Whale Christmas.
Yeah. Well, speaking of great things that we saw, now what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to give you our top 5 movies of the year, movies from 2022. We could potentially be like a lot of other podcasts and do the worst movies of the year, but you don't need to hear us shit on Top Gun Maverick that much. So instead, we're just going to do the top.
I never knew what the title of our podcast, Not Quite Cool, but the way you two numbnuts rave on about the sword fighting and finally back in Star Wars, and oh my, Andor is terrible. What's going on?
That was totally apropos to what I was saying.
Cool. Not quite cool. Not quite cool.
No, we're gonna go round robin style. We'll start with number 5. We'll do Chad, Rob, and then myself, and then count our way up to our number 1 film. So, Chad, your number 5 for 2022.
Before I say that, I want the listeners to pay close attention, because with Keith's recency bias, I would not be surprised if his top 5 were the last 5 movies that he's seen this year. There's no way he's got a movie from January or February on this list. No way. Now, to get started, before we get to 5, I have an honorable mention, because I don't know if you guys would count this as a movie, so that's the only reason. My honorable mention is Murderville, Who Killed Santa.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, it's really an extended episode of the series, so that's why it's not really in my top. But it is, bar none, the funniest thing I watched all year. Right? It's so hilarious.
Yes.
So funny. I know we've all seen it.
Yeah.
So when they choose who they think the killers are, and Bateman chooses suicide, it is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
You think he killed himself?
Yeah, and all the evidence points to it, clearly. Like, I loved it. Like,
you think I did it, Pete Davidson? You think I killed him?
When she yells "fuck you" to the guy who's the murderer, I belly laugh.
He's like, Ben Jeffers, you can go fuck yourself.
Fuck you, Ben Jeffers. She was having a ball. She was having an absolute ball.
When it's revealed that it's him, she's like, how the hell am I supposed to know that? I've never even seen this guy before.
Fuck you, Ben Jeffers.
That's so good.
So that's my honorable mention. Now, number 5. My number 5 movie of the year was Bullet Train. I thought this movie was a lot of fun. There's John Wick style fights, very funny in moments. Aaron Taylor Johnson almost outcools Brad Pitt, which is
he might be the next James Bond.
I mean, maybe. He was awesome in this.
Yeah.
And Brian Tyree Henry, hilarious too. They were great together. All 3 of them interacting sometimes. I could watch saw the movie, but I could watch another movie if it was those 3, just hanging out, doing stuff. Like, I loved it.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
That's great. Rob, what you got for us?
I do have an honorable mention too. I don't know if it's a movie, but I think it's more of a movie than Murderville, because it's an extension of other movies. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, I fucking loved.
It's great.
Loved it. And I don't know if we're counting that as a movie, because it's over 45 minutes long. I don't have it in my top 5. If it was in my top 5, it would be way up there in my top 5.
Yeah.
So my 5th is the Batman.
It's a great choice.
It's the best. I've come around on it a little bit. I mean, I liked it. I wasn't flipping out like people were flipping out at the beginning. I just think juxtaposed against what they've been seeing, they were madly in love with this Fincher-esque style movie, and it was well made. I think it had a couple problems, but it's pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. So
it's cool.
I'm glad that you think this critically acclaimed movie is pretty darn good.
Pretty darn good.
He finally came around on it.
Yeah, pretty darn good. As opposed to what, Top Gun? You numbnuts!
My honorable mention, since we're doing that, is going to be Werewolf by Night. Look, it's special presentation, but I wanted it to be good, blew me out of the water, loved every moment of it. I had a blast watching it.
I had them right next to Guardians right there too, because they were both really, really dynamite.
The music probably put you over the top with Guardians, though, if you had to choose.
Christmas
Rob.
music,
Damn right.
I don't know what Christmas
is, but
Christmas
every
time
time
is
is here.
Oh, man, you guys were great.
Yeah, we should start a band.
I thought y'all just hit play on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Like y'all were really singing. Wow.
We're really good, Chad. We're really good.
Yeah. My number 5 is my recency bias coming into play. The Menu. I love this movie. I thought this movie was so clever and creative and an indie darling in all the best ways, right? Dark, twisted, demented, excellent performances, masterfully shot, just a great movie all around. Chad, what you got for number 4?
Number 4, A24, hitting the list, baby. Bodies, bodies, bodies.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I think my top 5 of movies I haven't seen would be a better top 5 list than the movies I have seen.
I don't know, maybe, but Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is excellent. You know, I love horror comedy. This is horror comedy perfectly done. It's not crazy. It's even believable. It's done right. Great characters. The standout is Rachel Stennett. She's amazing in that film.
Yep.
She is incredible. And I really feel like I'm not even joking about this. I feel like it really captures the voice of that generation.
Yeah.
I feel like it is so pitch perfectly well done. Huge fan. And Pete Davidson making another appearance on my list. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Rob, what about you?
Number 4, I have Black Panther. It's talk about navigating just a minefield of just obstacles that the director and the filmmakers had to do, and still kind of deliver an emotionally charged, and I would say almost a nice pivot from where Marvel had been recently, almost necessary in tone for the actual whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. Unfortunately, had to come on the heels of Chadwick's passing. I think the movie, you feel his missing. You feel that, and I don't think there's anything they can do about that. But I think the story that they told, and the introduction of Namor, was well done. I just think that cast is so strong.
Yeah.
That it was just, you just kind of went on the journey with them. I felt because of what they were dealing with, it hamstrung them a little bit as far as the comedy, because I feel like, especially the scenes between Martin Freeman and Julie Louis-Dreyfus, who I felt if this movie wasn't dealing with a real life passing, I really feel like they held back on those scenes. Like they didn't feel it appropriate to really kind of hit where those two really play, which is extreme funny in their timing. But I thought it was a powerful movie, man.
Yeah. My number 4, released November 11th, 2022. I agree with you. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I think it's such an interesting study in grief. I think it found a way to use actual events as not only inspiration, but also catharsis for all of us. It gives not only the cast members, not only the filmmakers, but also us as the audience a chance to properly say goodbye and to mourn him. The passing of Chadwick Boseman and thus the character T'Challa. The Namor is a badass. Seeing him caught me off guard by how impressed I was with that character's abilities. And even with the Everett Ross stuff, I think they set up a good chunk of what the future of the MCU is going to be. So everything I look for in a comic book movie, it was right there, from spectacle to interpersonal stories. I just loved it. I thought it was phenomenal. Chad, what about you for number 3?
We're going to keep the train going. Black Panther is my number 3.
Wow.
What else can we say, that we haven't already talked about in depth? I mean, it brought tears to my eyes, Angela Bassett's performance. But at the end of the day, I do feel like it is a worthy tribute to Chadwick Boseman.
Yep.
It's well done in that regard.
Agreed. Rob, what about you for number 3?
Hey, Chad, I agree with you. I think Keith's frequency bias is disgusting. My number 3 is The Menu. I saw that 5 minutes ago.
Also, it's recency bias, not frequency bias.
Oh, frequency bias. Whatever. I'm tired. It's late. My coffee is decaf.
He saw The Menu 18 times. That's why he meant frequency bias.
Yes, I love it. Really, just a shitload of fun. We talked about it before. It just completely caught me off guard. So well written, so well shot. The pacing, the diverse characters. It just everybody. Like most of those characters didn't get a whole lot of time, and you knew a lot about each one of those characters.
Yeah,
that is really good character development and writing. That was pretty impressive. We talked about it. The menu is top 5 for me right now.
Yeah, it's awesome. My number 3, released September 9th, 2022, is Speak No Evil. This premiered as a Shudder exclusive, and it's a horror film about parents and their children. And the same way Black Panther put me through the emotional ringer, this did in a way that I don't think any other horror movie has ever put me through the ringer. Like, it made me feel so much and so much tension. Every choice that could be made wrong is made wrong in this movie, and it keeps you glued. And you want to talk about a movie that just keeps surprising you and makes your stomach drop. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, and so definitely number 3 on mine. So Speak No Evil.
You're not going to be indifferent about it, no matter who watches it. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Chad, what do you got for number 2?
My number 2 is The Menu. Great dark comedy, what we talked about. I love the performances. When I reviewed this, when I originally saw it, I mentioned the characters, like Rob was saying, you get to know all the characters. You might not like all of them, but you have an opinion about all of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
In such a little amount of time, they do such a good job. And they, at the same time, they nailed the ending as well. Didn't know where it was going, and they nailed it. Kudos on that one. I love it.
Yeah, awesome. Rob,
so clever. It was just so clever how you found out about the characters through the food. I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Rob, what about you for number 2?
Bullet Train. That was just a shitload of fun.
Absolutely.
Before it came out, the reviews were mixed, and I'm just like, what is wrong with people?
Yeah,
that was fun from beginning to end. Every actor was on point. They were charming. It was funny. The action was a blast. The story was fun. What is wrong with people? That's all I'm saying. Bullet Train was great.
My number 2, released March 4th, 2022, is The Batman. Look, no secret, I'm a huge Batman fan, and this delivered on every part of what I needed. I don't know that any single element of this movie is my favorite. I don't know if it's my favorite Batman. I don't know if it's my favorite Alfred. I don't know if it's my favorite Riddler or my favorite Catwoman, but cohesively, they all operate so well together that it just creates such a rich Gotham and a rich story that I really enjoyed my time in it. And I can't wait to see where it goes from there.
I can tell you the truth. It wasn't your favorite Alfred.
Michael Caine might be my favorite Alfred, but I do
possibly. Yeah.
We might have to rank our 5 favorite Alfreds at a different point. Chad, give me your number 1. I think I already know what it is, and I'm already pissed off, but go ahead.
Yeah, we don't even need to go around the room and do it. Everybody's number 1. Spoiler alert, guys, is Top Gun Maverick. Everybody's number 1 of this.
I don't think it's everybody's.
Really, that's weird. I don't know why. This Tom Cruise is maybe the only movie star left in the world. He is a movie star. And the fact that he returns to a role that made him that, and they don't fuck it up, is incredible. Not only did they not fuck it up, it's awesome. It improves upon the original Top Gun. Also, much like Black Panther, brought tears to my eyes in different moments. Excellent movie. And I also think that, yes, nostalgia plays a part in this. There's not going to lie about that. But I don't think nostalgia is necessarily a bad thing.
No.
You know,
Sing with me, Chad. Sing with me, baby. Fly into the danger zone. Come on, everybody.
no thanks.
No, okay. Sorry, my bad. My bad.
This is the #1 movie of the year. Period.
Rob, what you got to say about that?
Top Gun Christmas Special, Part 3 on Shudder.
Well,
What I'm #1 movie of the year. You were right. It's just it's a better movie. I'll say this, and what impressed me about Cruise, and you're right, he is one of the last remaining movie stars. He's such a better actor now. Not that he was even remotely bad back then. The character in the first movie was all ego, and this one is all empathy, and that's why I think Keith needs to see them juxtaposed. He is so contrite and not broken, but just resolute about where he's at. He's not striving to impress. He's just doing his job. And he gives a shit. He really gives a shit about these other recruits, not the recruits, but these other pilots. And it's just so nice to see him grow as an actor. I mean, or just make a choice that is so different, and not to see him worry about height. I was kind of looking at it, and he doesn't give a shit about height. He doesn't care about, he's playing his age. He's playing it 30 plus years later. He's not trying to hide anything. The beauty, he surrounds himself with just the best people working. It starts off with Ed Harris. You've got Jennifer Connelly. He's just playing at the highest level of all filmmaking. And it's a great movie. It really is a great movie. And you're right. There are moments in there which, emotionally very, very heavy. They get what's his name back? Good Lord, Iceman.
Wow.
They get Iceman back.
Val Kilmer.
They get Kilmer back, and just knowing what he's going through. I mean, obviously that all plays into that. But from the get, you sit here and you go into that movie, and I'm thinking, all right, are they going to recapture it? And literally, like from the needle drop, when the song kicks in, you're like, yep, 30 plus years ago, and and it's on. And it is nothing. And again, I don't know what won't affect, if and when Keith ever sees it probably won't affect him that much because he doesn't have an emotional connection to it. But anybody who does I don't know anybody who just wasn't like, oh shit, let's go. It's great.
Yeah,
great.
And it seems to be topping everybody's lists. Like I can't deny that it seems to be the fan favorite. It is the Spider-Man No Way Home of this year. And mass hysteria is a thing, because
it is the official movie of Not Quite Cool. That's certainly true.
I mean, with the #1 movie, Rob Zombies, the monsters. No, my #1 pick, March 11th, 2022. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yeah.
Like it is. I didn't really know what to expect. I expected zaniness, but seeing that in the theater, it is just a kick in the face. It is holy shit. We're doing literally what the title promises you. I don't think Top Gun has a gun on top, not a single fucking time in the movie. But this one, you do get everything, everywhere, all at once. And that's, amazing.
No problem.
Yeah. But Michelle Yeoh, give her the
I'll
Oscar.
say this. It's really possible that if I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once for the first time right before this podcast, it'd be in my top 5.
Absolutely.
After the frequency, bias.
But she needs the Oscar. Like she deserves the Oscar. She does so much within this movie. This movie does so much. That's my my #1 movie of the year.
So I did see that as well. And it's not because it's A24. It's not an A24 type film. Yeah. Certainly not. My problem with a lot of A24 films is they're slow with not a lot happening. This is the exact opposite. So, but it's almost to a detriment. Too much is happening sometimes where it's the appropriate title for sure. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, because that's the way I felt sometimes. I was like, I can't even follow this. That's not to say that it wasn't extremely well made, that the acting wasn't incredible, the story was great. It just, at the end of the day, for me, it was just a little overwhelming. It just really was. And that's the way that it landed for me. I want to say real fast, my daughter gave me her list of her top 5. Everything was #1 for her as well. Her #2 was The Whale. 3 was Glass Onion, 4 was Pearl, and 5 was Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
That's amazing. I still
That was
haven't
her
seen
top 5.
Pinocchio, and I haven't seen The Whale. How old's your daughter, and you're literally gonna watch Pearl? Because that's
She's 18.
Oh, God, okay, yeah. Woo. It's an intense movie. For me, I completely agree with that assessment that it is bombastic, that it is big, that it is everything. It feels like the first time I saw Baz Luhrmann's work, like Romeo and Juliet or Moulin Rouge, where it's just like, I didn't know you could do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's operatic. And so to me, that's the thing. But I'm excited to see what 2023 is going to hold when we come back, this time next year. Is it going to be Guardians 3? Is it going to be Renfield? What's going to be the number 1 on the list? Hopefully we'll get the Monsters 2 and it'll redeem it. That being said, Chad, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter, NQC Podcast. But I want to say this too, Keith. I know we're not having an in memoriam section this time, but which is a good thing, by the way. But I want to let the listeners know this is what happens. My interaction with Keith. I'll text Keith. I'll say, "Hey Keith, have you seen Bullet Train?" And he won't reply for 3 days, and his reply is, "Kirstie Alley just died." That's my interaction with Keith. So I know we didn't have an in memoriam, but I wanted to give a little hint
of what the chats are like.
Yeah,
yes.
In memoriam.
We talk about scary movies sometimes.
The Grim Reaper.
Yeah. Rob, where can the people find you?
Twitter at Rob Prelgo. That's it.
That's
Only
awesome.
place you can find me. Me and my buddy Elon. That's it.
So simple. And if you need to find me, don't, please. I'm busy. I have to edit this podcast, and I'm too busy telling Chad about everybody who's died. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Not Quite Cool is a podcast recorded in Atlanta, Georgia, in conjunction with Actors Teaching Actors and Bean Dip Productions. Thanks.